in my video for myself. Okay, so you're inhaling and exhaling over the ball, and we're just gonna kind of take our time here, really breathing, moving your breath, and exhale as you bear down. One more breath like that. And then roll the ball straight up about 2 inches. So I just want you to feel like you're grabbing those lower abdominals and lifting them in and up. And then move your air over the ball again. Inhale and exhale as you sink, connecting to the ball. And take 2 more breaths here. Inhale and exhale. Good. One more. And exhale. And then move the ball up a little bit more, so we're not coming higher than navel height. The upper edge will be about navel height, maybe like an inch over, since the portion of the ball that makes contact is a little lower than the edge. And then breathe here. And exhale. Take 2 more big breaths here. Press your belly into the ball. Fill with air. And then slowly empty as you try to sink that ball all the way down to the front of the spine. And one more breath like that. And exhale. And then pull the ball back down to the center of your pelvis. And we're going to roll down the quadriceps. So if you need to shift back on your mat a little bit, just move your body back just a little so you have room to move forward. And then take the ball to the right side of the pelvis. So you've just shifted over from the pubic bone, and my ASAS is like right at the center of the ball. And breathe here. We're just above the very top of that right quadricep. 2 more breaths there. One more breath, keeping the shoulders nice and placed on the back ribs. Pull your body forward, the ball rolls down. So now you're on the upper inch or so of the right quadricep. And then inhale, fill, direct your breath to just an awareness to where that ball is. And as you exhale, press your thigh down into the ball. Inhale and exhale, press the thigh bone down. And then bend your knee without sticking your tailbone up into the air. Try to bring your heel as close to your seat as possible. And then lengthen your leg long. Good. Nice and slow here so that the edge doesn't pop away. Do that one more time. Bending your knee, bringing your heel in towards your seat as close as you can without expelling the ball or sticking the booty up in the air. And then let your leg lengthen. Keep the pressure into that ball and pull the ball down your leg a little bit more. So now you're coming about 1/3 of the way, maybe about halfway down the leg, upper leg. Breathing, inhale, exhale, bear your weight down into the ball. 2 more breaths like that. Nice, really bearing down with the long leg into the ball on the exhale. 1 more breath. And exhale. And then keep that connection to the ball again as you bend your right knee, bringing your heel in towards your seat. Keeping the abdominals pulling in. I know it's a lot of stabilization, but it's going to make the shoulder stabilizers, triceps, and abdominals strong. 1 more time here. Bending your heel in and lengthening. And then take 1 more move, keeping the weight into the ball. Pull your body forward again. So now the ball comes about a little more than halfway, 2/3 of the way down the leg. Exhale, bear your weight down, press that bone into the ball. 1 more breath, inhale and exhale. And then bend your knee, bring your heel towards your seat again, pulling the foot in towards your sit bone. And then lengthen your leg long. 1 more time, last time here. Pulling in. Good, nice and stretch. Beautiful control, you guys. And then just take weight off of the ball. I want you to bring the ball back up to the top of the pelvis. And we're going to roll now into that oblique and psoas line. So the ball is back on the right side of the pelvis. Roll the ball up off the top of your pelvis on that right side. Wrap your right hip down a little bit and then walk your right arm away from you. So you can try to bring the front, those right front ribs down towards the floor. Your right thigh is turned in, the right hip point is wrapping down. And breathe here, still moving air over the ball. Good, you guys. And just let your head be easy. I'm just watching you this one. Not laying on the mat there. Take one more breath there. Keep thinking of the rib cage wrapping down and around. And then pull the ball up a tiny bit, avoiding those ribs. So the rib cage reaches forward. Keep walking that arm away from you. Wrap those side ribs down and around. Wrap the pelvis down and around. And finding that length in between your fingertips and the back toes. Take 2 more breaths here. And 1 more breath. And then just take the ball out, roll onto your backs. Let that settle in for a couple breaths on this first side. Just breathing there. Feel what that did to the pelvis, the way the shoulder blade sits. I even feel it all the way up in my hamstring attachment from the hamstring work, bending the knee to bring your heel to your seat. Good, so let's do the same thing on the other side. We're going to bring the ball to start just to the left side of the pelvis. And coming down onto your front, and we're gonna roll the ball down that quadricep to start. So the ball is on the left side of the pelvis and connecting here. And then pull the ball straight down your leg so it comes to the upper inch or two of that left quadricep. Inhale, exhale as you bear down into that ball. So we're getting the front of the femur bone making contact. 2 more breaths here. 1 more breath. And exhale. And then bend your knee. Keep squeezing the glute gently to keep the front of your hip open. Bring your heel towards your seat. And then lengthen your leg long. And do that again. Bending your knee to bring the heel in with control. Good. And then lengthening your leg long. Keep your weight into that ball. Pull the ball down your leg again. So you're about a little less than halfway down, about pressing down on the exhales. Inhale and exhale. 1 more big breath here. And then bend your knee again, bringing your heel in towards your seat. And lengthen your leg long. Do that 1 more time. Belly buttons in. Try to keep those shoulder blades nice and flat. And then keep the pressure into the ball. Pull the ball down your leg again. So you come about 2/3 of the way down. Exhale, bear down into that ball. Really try to push that thigh bone in. Inhale and exhale. And then last times here, bending your heel towards your seat and lengthening your leg long. Last one. And lengthen your leg long. And then bring the ball back up to the left side of your pelvis. And just connecting here, wrapping that hip down a little bit. Breathe here over the ball. And then move the ball straight up into those lower obliques. Turn your left thigh in, wrap the left hip down, walk your left fingertips away from you, and try to take the ribs and bring them down towards the mat. And just breathing there. Still moving your air over the ball and trying to sink that ball to the back musculature, getting those deep hip flexors. Move the ball up a tiny bit more, keeping the rib cage clear, walking your left fingertips, your left toes away from you, rotating your whole pelvis to the left and trying to envelop that ball as much as possible. 2 more big breaths here. And exhale. 1 more. And then just carefully roll on off of that. Come on to your backs again. And let that settle in there. Take 2 or 3 more big breaths like that. Good. So now let's have your black ball handy. We're going to roll down the IT bands and then we're going to roll up the side ribs. So first doing the whole right sideline and then we'll do the whole left sideline. So finding the very top of your hip bone or thigh bone coming onto your right side, you can use silver or gold. Down onto your side, and let's have the black ball for when we come up the side ribs, and breathe over the ball. So you're on the right side, walk those right toes away from you, forearm is under your shoulder, and keeping the rib cage lifted up and away, and just let that edge sink here, right in that joint. And then pull your body forward. The ball rolls down your leg a few inches. So you're to the side of that greater trochanter. Breathe here. And still trying to bear your weight down into the ball on those exhales without losing the shoulder stability. Pull the ball down your leg a little bit more. So you're about 1/3 of the way down. We're going to take 2 more moves after this spot. Inhale and exhale. 1 more breath. Pull the ball down your leg a little bit more. So now you're about halfway down that right IT band, bearing your weight down into the ball on the exhale. And then pull the ball down your leg a little bit more. So you're about 2/3 of the way down. Exhale as you press. Inhale and exhale. And then sit your hip down to come off of that side and move the ball to the side of your pec line. So you're going to be high up on not high up on the rib cage, but we want to avoid the floating ribs. And then have your black ball within reaching distance. Support your head with your hand for the first position and pull the pec forward so you're really on those side ribs. And then we're just trying to get some space in between the pelvis and the rib cage. So what I kind of like to do is I like to float my bottom hip off and then from there try to walk those bottom toes away so that it really just kind of lengthens the hip away. And then bring your hip down to the mat just to get a little more space here so we're not kind of crunched. And take 2 more breaths there. Feel your air moving over the ball. Yeah, and that top leg can just be however it's comfortable. Keep your weight into the ball and now lengthen your right arm long, pull that ball up so the upper edge of the ball goes just to the base of your armpit, and then use the black ball to support your head, walking your fingertips away. Breathe here, breathing over the ball. So I feel those side ribs moving. Take 2 more breaths like that. Keep thinking of your fingertips reaching away. And then pull the ball all the way up into your armpit joint. Yeah. And then try to get as much surface area as possible of the joint to make contact. You may need to rotate slightly to the mat so that the ball really comes in the joint. And then same thing, keeping those fingertips walking away. You can always float the bottom hip off and walk those bottom toes away. I feel like that kind of helps a little bit. It's like that assist Yamuna does where she sticks her foot here and drags your pelvis down. And then take 2 more breaths here. Move the ball up a little bit more so it comes off of the joint and onto the very top of the upper arm. And just keep trying to walk those fingertips away. My hand is off the floor. Try to reach as much as possible there. Breathing here. 1 more breath. Now take the black ball out, and I want you to turn onto your front and bring the ball to the front of the armpit joint. You may need to slide it down just a tiny bit so it's back in the joint. Push the pec down and out of the way, and now I'm squared off to the mat with my pelvis. And you can just let your head rest down, whatever is comfortable here. Walk your right fingertips away and take 2 breaths here. Try to really feel those upper ribs moving over the ball as you inhale. And then roll the ball down or you can just move it with your hand. Bring it about 1/3 of the way down the upper arm. My palm is still facing down. And then you can use your left hand to kind of push more weight down into that ball. Try to bear weight down with the right arm as well. So you're actively pushing the side of that bone into the ball. Take the ball down your arm a little bit more so you're halfway down that upper arm. Same thing, you can use the left hand to press down and also actively use the muscles on the right side to push the bone down into the ball. 1 more breath here. And keep thinking of the reaching of that right arm away from you. And then move the ball down another few inches, just so you're just above the elbow joint. This will be the last spot here. Use your left hand to grab the joint and pull the upper arm away from you, tractioning those fingertips away as you press down with the right arm. 1 more breath here. And then take that ball out. Come onto your backs again and let that settle in there. Feel a lot more just kind of energized and active in that right shoulder and right tricep. Take another breath or 2 there, and then we'll do the same thing on the other side. Good, you guys. So same thing on the left, starting with the IT band roll and then rolling up into the side ribs and then coming towards the front of the body. So coming on to bringing the ball into the left joint crease, walking your left toes away, and keep actively pushing down into that left forearm so that we activate the lats and the obliques here and the shoulders down away from your ears. And just breathe there. Keep your weight into the ball and pull your body forward again. Or forward. And then the ball's going to be to the side of the greater trochanter, bearing your weight down into the ball as you exhale. So we're trying to help gravity out a little bit today by actively pushing our bone into the ball. Pull the ball down your leg a little more. You're 1/3 of the way down. We've got 2 more spots after this position. Exhale as you bear down into the ball. Keep the pressure into the ball. Pull the ball about halfway down that upper leg. Inhale and exhale. 1 more big breath in this spot. And then take the ball about 2/3 of the way down the left IT band. Exhale, press down. Inhale and exhale. And then come off of the ball and bring your ball to the side of the pec line. And black ball's within grabbing distance. Support your head with your hands. Your left elbow reaches away, left toes reach away from each other. You can float the hip up if that helps, and reach the leg down. And just breathing here over the ball. Feel those side ribs moving. Exhale, gently connecting down. So when the ball's on the ribs, don't jam the weight down too much, but you can bear down a little bit to stimulate the bone. And then lengthen your left arm long. Bring the ball just to the base of the armpit and use that black ball to support the side of your head. Reaching your fingertips and your toes away from each other. And try to move the breath up high into those side ribs. And exhale. One more breath like that. And exhale. And then keep your weight into the ball. Bring the ball into the armpit joint. Reestablish that length down that left side. Reach your hip away from you if that's doable. And if you need to rotate slightly towards the mat to really make contact with the ball, try to get as much surface area of that joint as possible into the ball. 2 more big breaths here. 1 more. And then move the ball to the upper arm just a little bit so you're kind of freed up from that joint. Press gently here. You can even use your other hand to help traction that upper arm out of the shoulder socket. Just giving it a little more space, not really pulling it out of the shoulder socket. Take another breath there. And then take the black ball out, turn onto your front, and you may need to push the ball down a little bit, but first free up the pec line. Pull that pec muscle out of the way so the ball can kind of traction onto the front ribs, and then bring the ball into the armpit joint. And then breathing here. So you're really focusing on breathing up into those top ribs here, right above the pec line. You get super, super stuck. Moving your breath there as you inhale. 1 more breath here. And then either shift your body backwards or just pull the ball down your arm a few inches. Use your right hand to connect down to the ball and traction your left upper arm away from you as you also press down with the left arm, but just gently here. Inhale and exhale. Take the ball down your upper arm another couple inches. We're about midway down there. Pressing here. Tractioning that upper arm out, trying to really stimulate that side of the bone. And then the last spot will be just before the elbow joint. And then finding the joint with your other hand and lengthen your arm away from you, breathing over that ball. 1 more big breath there. And then take the ball out and come onto your back again. Let that settle in. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the sternum and roll out across the collarbone on both sides. So turning back onto your front, take your ball and bring it to the center of your chest. And coming down onto your front. Elbows are nice and wide. Hips are down. And just breathing over the ball so the ball is right in the center. Feel your air moving. We're just going to stay here for a little bit. Be careful not to jam your weight down. Try to feel that breath really filling over the ball. We fill that thoracic cage here, and then exhale as you sink. And just take 2 more breaths there. And exhale. And 1 more breath. And then take your right arm out to the side of your body and traction the ball to the right with the heel of your left hand. Look over your left shoulder and breathe to where those ribs attach to the sternum. Moving your breath over the ball. 2 more breaths here. And exhale. And 1 more. And then plant your left palm, bend your left knee, keep the weight into the ball and move that ball to the right a little bit. So you're in between the center line and the front of your shoulder. Rotate to the left, walking your right fingertips away from you, and breathe over the ball there. Try to keep gentle pressure down into that ball. So we're not just kind of spinning over the ball. I want you to really feel like you grab those ribs and you're widening them here. 1 more breath. And then pull the ball to the front of your right shoulder joint, trying to keep the shoulder as open as possible. Walk your fingertips away and spinning the body away from the ball. To keep that ball connected so we're spreading, we're widening rather than just rolling the ball along that line. Take 2 more breaths here. And exhale. And then take the ball back to the center and breathing at the center again. Good, elbows go wide and fill your breath over the ball. Take 2 more big breaths here. And exhale. 1 more. And then reach your left arm straight out to the side of your body. Use the heel of your right hand to spread that ball an inch or so to the left and look over your right shoulder. Breathe there. Really directing your breath to where the ball is. One more big breath there. And then plant your right palm, bend your right knee out to the side, elbow goes sideways, and pull the ball to the left a few inches. Still looking over your right shoulder, walk your left fingertips away. And as we drag the ball doesn't really roll. Press and you just spread here. And then take 2 more breaths there. 1 more. Keep the pressure into the ball and spread it wide again. Now it'll roll a little bit as you go into the joint, but keeping that connection as you widen. And spinning to the right, walking your left fingertips away from you. Breathing here. 1 more breath. And then come out of that. Take the ball out and just come up to a high kneeling position here. Just kind of let that settle in. Let the arms just be easy. Feel how much more lifted that sternum is. How wide the collarbone is there. Good. So now let's stay up in this kneeling position here and take your larger ball and we're gonna roll from the, just underneath the knee, down the tibia all the way down to your toes. So starting on the right side, we just kind of keep it consistent, starting on the same side of the body. You're going to bring the ball just underneath your patella, centered on that bone, and then press down here to the front of the shin. Inhale, exhale as you press. Good. Inhale. So you will feel the quads working here. Exhale to press. Keep that pressure into the ball and roll the ball down your leg a little bit. So you're about like a third, maybe a little more, down the front of my shin. And then do the same thing here. See if you can bring your hands to that thigh bone and press down. If it's too much here and you need to bring your hands to the floor to take weight off of it, either, whatever's doable. Take one more breath here. Inhale, the air lifts the whole body, and exhale as you press. Bring the ball about halfway down that lower leg. And same thing. As you inhale, let the air lift you a little bit. Exhale, bear down to the ball. If your hands are down, then it's just shifting the weight forward and shifting the weight back. One more breath like that. And exhale. And then take the ball just above the front of your ankle joint and now bring your knee down to the floor. And then if you can, bring your weight up or just keep the hands down and we're pushing just before the joint. Inhale and exhale. One more breath like that. And exhale. And now take your ball to the ankle joint. So the center of the ball is right on the joint and it's getting the kind of upper half of those, or the proximal half of the metatarsals. And breathing, connecting here. Inhale and exhale. One more breath like that. And now keep the ball moving down that line. So now it's going to come to the, going to split the metatarsals and the toes. And breathe here. And you can kind of iron those toes into the ball if that feels good, or just let your weight come down into that line. The next and last position you're going to do is you're going to try to bring the front of your foot down to the floor and keep the toes on the ball. My foot is really tight today, so just doing the best you can here, trying to slide the front of the ankle down towards the floor as you keep those toes stretching here. And keep slowly kind of micro inching your leg down till it plops off the front. And then you're done with that line. And you should feel a big difference here if you sit back onto your heels, just the flatness and kind of the mobility you have there on the front of the ankle. And then bring your legs in front of you. And just look at the difference there between the two sides, the way the kneecap sits, on the mobility you have at the front of that ankle joint. Good, so let's do the same thing on the other side. Bringing the ball just to the very top of your left shin, just below that patella, and you're going to bring your weight down into the ball. Inhale, let the air lift you a little bit. Exhale as you bear down. So the quad does work because we're slightly extending the knee joint, slightly, and then pressing down into that ball. One more breath here. And then take the ball down your leg a little bit more. So you're like a third of the way down. Same thing. Inhale and exhale. And again, if that's too much on your joint, just open the joint here and just pressing back that way. Take the ball down your leg a little bit more. You're about halfway down that line. And the same thing here. Inhale, so we're actively lifting. Exhale, pressing down. 2 more breaths like that. 1 more breath. Good, and then bring the ball about just in front of that ankle joint. And now you can bring your knee down to the mat and then pressing here, or just keep your weight forward, whatever's doable today. And it may feel different side to side. My left side is always way more stingy than the right side. 1 more breath there. And now bring the ball to that ankle joint. So we've got the ball kind of above the joint, centers on the ankle joint, and then we're at the kind of proximal metatarsals there, and just breathing here. Wrap your toes if you want, or just let the weight come down into the ball. Slide the ball now onto the dorsal foot and breathing here. A little bit tricky balance-wise, and you can spread those toes, or if it's enough to just kind of sit. Like with the colder weather, we get more locked into the ankles. And then the last position, try to slide the front of your ankle down towards the floor. So slowly here, it will be intense here. We're tucking those toes, bringing them into very deep flexion here. Sliding slowly off the front of the ball. Eventually you'll plunk down, and then feel how that evens out side to side, and bring your legs in front of you. Test out that ankle mobility there. Good. So now what I'd like to do is bring the ball to your right sit bone. Let's peel around the glute line a little bit, and then we'll roll up the right side of the spine. So coming up on top of your ball, knees are bent, feet are flat. Good. And then just taking your body forward and back, side to side. I just want you to work around that sit bone, whatever feels good here. Angle your weight out, angle your weight in. Bring, kind of stimulating the pelvis before we roll up that side of the body. I'm trying to focus on pulling my glute up and away from my hamstring line. So I'm working my way kind of slowly out and lifting the bottom edge of the glute, but whatever feels good for you guys here. You're all pretty experienced on the balls. And then come back to the sit bone and slowly slide your body forward to come off of the front of the ball. Up the right side of the spine, pinning the ball in between your body and the mat, connecting back to that ball. And from here, keep the C curve, but I want you to think of the ball spreading wide a little bit and then coming back in towards to the right side of the spine. So I'm just peeling wide along the top of the pelvis and then coming back in. It's only a few inches here. Feel like you're grabbing that back musculature and spreading it wide. And then move the ball up now, so you're on the lumbar musculature, kind of in between pelvis and ribs, even though you will be touching the bottom ribs probably, and then spread wide here. We have a lot of musculature laid down here. We're going to be getting lats, we're going to get traps, we're going to be getting the QL here, just trying to spread away from center. And then support your head with your hands and roll the ball onto the right ribs, so we're underneath the right shoulder blade to the right of the spine, and spread wide again. So we're staying to the right of center. If you want, you can come all the way to the side ribs, or just feel like you're catching the ribs where they attach into the sides of your vertebrae in the back here, and just kind of widening that attachment area out. And they come all the way from front, attach into the back there. So sometimes when we free up that front line, they'll feel free here, but they're still stuck here. We can get them from both sides. And then float your pelvis off and roll the ball onto the bottom half of shoulder blade height. Bring your hips down and spread wide again. So you can come all the way off the outer edge of your shoulder blade if that feels good. Or just stay on the scapula and peel towards that kind of outer border and then back in. Or do a combination of both, whatever feels good there. One more little pass here. The ball kind of naturally moves up on its own. If it didn't move up, then move it up now so you're at the upper half of that right shoulder blade height. Float your hips off and bring weight down into the ball, and then bring your hips back down and spread wide again. In and out there, either coming all the way to the side ribs into the side of the armpit joint, or just spreading along the width of the shoulder blade. And then as we start to lose the ball, it will start to go higher and higher. Roll it straight up behind the base of your skull. Lift your hips and keep the ball lifting up till it grabs the base of your skull on the right side. And just turn your head slightly to the right. Walk your fingertips away on the right side. Open the shoulder blade and breathe there. As you exhale, press your weight back into the ball, pressing the base of the skull back into the ball, but keep your chin nodded so that we're not extending the spine to press back. Take 2 more breaths there. Yeah, and just let your arms relax. 1 more breath. And then take the ball out, bring your head down to the mat, and just let that side process for a couple breaths, and then we'll do the same thing on the other side. Good. So carefully coming up and bring the ball to your left sit bone. Good. And then just taking your time here, working your way around. Come from sit bone, coming to the outside, coming to the inside. Peel the glute up and out of the way. Kind of working around that area like we normally do when we start class. Trying to keep as much weight coming down into the ball as possible. Larger balls have a larger edge, so it's not as detailed, but still try to bear down and move that muscle. So starting to work your way back towards that left sit bone, and then slide your hips down to the mat. Sit bones come down to the mat. Pinning the ball in between your body and the mat, and then working from the left side of your spine, peeling wide. So this one isn't a huge movement. Just feel like you're grabbing that musculature and you're widening it out. There's like if you kind of, won't do it now, but if you find your spine and then you kind of just widen your fingertips away, you'll feel there's like these little shelves here where the muscle is thicker. So that's what we're trying to spread. Getting all that musculature to the sides of that kind of fascia that encases each side of or that kind of broad connective tissue that protects each side of the vertebrae. And then roll the ball up so you're in that lumbar spine now. So you're in between the pelvis and the rib cage. And same thing, coming from the side of the vertebrae and widen here. You'll feel yourself grab onto just thicker musculature here. Try to widen that out. Carefully here, because we are touching floating ribs as well. And then reach back to support your head and bring the ball onto your left ribs underneath the left shoulder blade. Press and spread the rib cage. And you can come all the way to those side ribs if that feels like the path you want to take here, or just stay just on the posterior side of your body. Try to find that nice spread. And then bring the ball back and roll the ball up now onto the bottom half of shoulder blade height. Bring your hips down and do the same thing here. Getting all tangled today. Widening out and in. Spreading wide. You can come all the way to the side ribs, or just stay on that outer inch or so of the shoulder blade. The ball kind of works its way up on its own. If it didn't, then as you come in on this one, bring it to the upper half of shoulder blade height. Press and same thing, widening out. You can come all the way to the side, or just stay on that posterior side. Keeping the pressure into the ball. Take a few more breaths here. If the ball starts to get away, just inch it down a little bit so that you can keep on peeling. One more pass. And then roll the ball straight up so that it goes straight up the cervical spine. Grabs the base of your skull on the left side, and then soften your hips down to the floor. Let that ball lift the base of the skull up and away from your cervical spine. Keep the head slightly turned to the left, and then exhale, gently bear back into the ball. Take a few more breaths like that. One more breath. Let's try something here. And then take that ball out, bring your head down to the mat. Let that settle in for a few breaths. And then I want you to find your black ball and bring the black ball to the center of the base of your skull. So it's going to be centered on the base of your skull. Nodding your chin down towards your chest, and let that ball support you there. And try to get the ball kind of underneath the lowest point of your skull and the cervical spine. And breathe there. Good. So I want you to keep the head supported with this black ball here. Take your gold ball in your hands and bring the gold ball to the center. So you're gonna bring the gold ball kind of to the middle of your head, center here, middle of the skull, and the head is going to stay supported with the black ball. So your chin stays tucked towards your chest, and bring this gold ball kind of back. You'll feel if you kind of roll the ball straight back, there's like a ridge here, and then the skull kind of drops off a little bit. So we're trying to get to that kind of bony ridge there. I'm holding onto the ball with both hands, and I'm putting pressure straight down into my skull. So for this one, you do need to have your chin tucked towards your chest. This also can work if you have like a yoga block or a pillow put under the base of your skull, but for now the black ball should be okay. And I want you to just gently press in here. So we're getting that kind of midline suture. Keep your chin knotted and roll the ball down towards your forehead a few inches. Press here. Inhale. Exhale. Use your hands to press the ball in. Take another breath here. And then move the ball down again, closer towards your hairline. Press in here. Inhale and exhale. The next spot is going to be like just at the hairline or just right before the hairline. Press here. Keep that black ball supporting you. Keep the chin knotted and the base of the skull lifted away from your cervical spine. And then move the ball onto the very top of your forehead here. Press here gently. Inhale and exhale. Roll the ball down a little more. So now you're like just above the eyebrows, but center line. Keep your chin knotted. Press here. Inhale and exhale. And now really carefully lower the ball down again. So I want you to feel like you kind of come underneath your little kind of brow ridge really gently without jamming that ball into your eyeballs or we don't want to smush it into the top of your nose. You just came off the front of the little brow ridge here. And then we're going to switch the angle. So you're going to gently press into the ball and lift up towards the hairline. So it's like you grabbed this area and now you're lifting that frontal bone up. Hopefully this makes sense. Breathing here. Roll the ball up a little bit more. So we're still kind of keeping that connection and roll up. So you're in between the hairline and the eyebrows now, but the ball's kind of pulling that skin and fascia up a little bit. So the eyebrows are kind of lifted gently here. We're not going to go crazy pulling on our skin here. And now roll the ball up to just before your hairline, keeping that lifting of that frontal bone. And we're going to make our way back to the starting position. So now the ball goes onto the hairline, gently lifting up and back. Pressing as well into that suture. And then pull the ball back another few inches. So we're rolling. We're not like pulling our hair out. You're rolling the ball and pressing here. And then take one more move. Bring the ball back towards the top of the head and push down with your hands into the ball. So we're really connecting to that skull. And then take that, let that gold ball go. Take the black ball out and just lay down on the mat here and feel what that did here. You may feel like your eyes are a little bit wider as well, and just kind of bring the energy up and away there. Let that settle in for another 2 or 3 breaths.